Right, today we've got a Volkswagen CC 2 litre TDI. It's got a leak, coolant leak coming from down this side of the engine, which 9 times out of 10 on these is the water pump leaking. So I'm going to do the water pump timing belt, obviously because the belt's going to be contaminated with coolant. You're going to need this kit to set the timing on the engine. You can get these eBay, whatever. That's the serial number, but so you can get cheap aftermarket ones anyway. So I say customers complaining coolant loss, and there's definitely coolant down this side of the engine. So from experience, the water pump's going to be leaking anyway. So we'll get top cover off. Obviously we're going to have to move all the diesel filter out of the way. The coolant bottles have to come out of the way. Just strip this side down really. Working on the floor today, so ramps are both occupied in a minute, so we'll jack it up, get this wheel off, get it on an axle stand this side, and then we'll come back and have a look where we are. Right, so we've got our wheel arch liner out, got our under tray off, now see the side of the engine, the top cover off, so we need to drain off the left of the coolant. Easiest way to do that is from these pipes here, from the pump. So one of these pipes take off, drain the coolant out. So we'll get the coolant drained out up here. Then we can start moving the bottle out of the way. Once the coolant's drained, get the bottle out of the way. Start clearing this area so we can get down to the engine mount and see what's going on down there. Right, so we've got this side stripped down now. Coolant bottle out of the way. Diesel filter out of the way. If you haven't got under the diesel lines, just move it out of the way. Got the top cover off. There's 3 clips around the outside. One there, one there, one there. Now, you see, this is coolant on the inside of this casing. The belt is contaminated with coolant as well. So, you can see down there, coolant's spraying about everywhere, so confirms suspicion of the belt or the pump even. So now obviously we need to get this engine mount out of the way, then we can rotate our engine round and get it timed up. So we'll need to come down, get our drive belt off first. So it's the next job. We'll take the tension off the belt, get the drive belt off, and we'll get this bottom pulley off. So we'll do that and we'll come back. Right, so belt off, bottom pulley off. Belt, just tensioner, 16mm, pull it backwards, take your belt off. Obviously bottom pulley, see it's all wet in there. Bottom pulley, undo your bolts, pull the pulley off. So now we come up, engine mount, obviously support your engine underneath. Jack on the sump, so undo 2 13s for this bracket, get that out of the way. 2 16s each side of this, 2 18s here, undo them, lift that out of the way as well. So now we're here. This bit of the engine mount needs taking off, so we've got 16mm bolt. There's a 16mm bolt down. Basically here, you'll feel it with your fingers, and then there's one at the bottom which is there with that stud on, so you have to undo that 10mm nut, pull the pipe out of the way, and then undo the 16. It's a bit of a fiddle to do that one, so we'll get them 3 undone. You probably have to go up and down with a jack to get it into positions to get the bolts out, because they're about 3 foot long. So we'll get them out, get that engine, this out of the way, and then we'll come back for a look where we are. Right, so engine mount's now off. As I said, you've got 3 bolts. 1, 2, and 3. A little stud there, and you've got a 10mm there which holds that pipe on. This pipe, this bracket here. So you loosen that off, get that out of the way. Now we can see, obviously our belt, the lower cover, put a couple of bolts in. Torque bolts, one there, a couple at the bottom, one there, one there, one there, one there. So we'll take them covers off and we'll be able to see our whole belt. So T30's off, we'll come back. Right, so now we've got bottom cover off. Into the water pump, you can see definitely leaking. So now I need to turn our engine to top dead centre and put our locking pins in. Now we're looking for this line on here, and that's our hole up there that we put our pin into. So we'll get the tools out, we'll get it close, and then we'll see where we are with this. Same story up here. The pin goes through here and it will lock into the cylinder head. So when we've got the crank locked up, it should be close to this. We should be able to look down the hole and see a hole in the head. So we need to put a 19mm 12-sided socket on here to turn the crank over, go clockwise only, and bring this line round to about, well, here-ish, I suppose, for the minute. I'm gonna have a look at the tools and how they go in. Right, so I've rotated our engine round, 19mm, as I said, multi-spline. You can see we've got our line pointing here. We've got an arrow on this tool here. Now, there are two tools in this kit. This one has got the arrow on the outer indentation. This one has got it on the inner. You need to match up whatever pulley you have so it matches. What you're looking for is it a pin to be able to slide into that hole. So that is now the crank locked. We come up here to the cam pulley. There's an arrow on this which is pointing roughly up. So that needs to be up. So then your hole here, you can't really see, but in there, through there is a hole in the cylinder head that you would then put your pin through there, and this should go in. If it doesn't go in all the way, it's because the belt tension is pulling the pulley slightly a little bit out. So all you need to do is, when we slacken off our belt, we then move this around to get this in. Now, before you undo this belt, you want to be loosening off these three bolts, so that this sprocket can move and this sprocket can move. It's just easier to undo them now while the belt's on it than it is trying to do it when the belt's off. So undo them three, then we'll undo our tensioner, get this pin in, and we'll come back and have a look. Right, so slackened off our three bolts, no need to remove them. Slackened off our three bolts, no need to remove them. Slackened off the tensioner, and that tensioner is now loose, obviously, and we're taking our belt off, which is down here. Now we can take the tensioner off, get it out of the way, and let's take our guide pulley off there, that guide pulley off there as well, and then we can unbolt our water pump. So we'll get this guide pulley off, that guide pulley off, and then we'll come back to get a tray underneath, and then we'll undo the 1, 2, and the third one, and 3 bolts on the water pump, and we'll pull it out as well. So we'll get them 3 off and come back for a look. Right, okay, so water pump's now out, all the pulleys are off, so now we're faced with cleaning this up. Obviously, if the water pump hasn't leaked, then you haven't got to do this step, but obviously we need to try and get rid of all this, as much of this as we can, get it as clean as we can. We don't want it to contaminate the new belt. That's where the fuel pump locks in. If you've got the pin for it, not that it really makes much difference, but you can see these are loose to move. Now, obviously we've got our pin pushed in for our cam, so even though this is moving, we're not actually moving the camshaft itself. And obviously I've taken the bottom locking tool out for the minute just to drain the coolant, but that will go back in, so you know where you are with that. So we'll clean all this up now, we'll get our new stuff on, and then we'll go from there. Right, so we've cleaned up into the back casing, all contaminants off of it. So we'll start putting our pulley wheels back on. See, idler down there. We left this one off for a minute. It's easier to get the belt on it. About to put the tensioner on now. The tensioner has got this little hook on it. It needs to go in that slot. If you miss it, this tensioner will come loose. And obviously that catastrophic problems. So when you put it on, you need to make sure that there is engaged in the slot. Like that. So that I can't really see it as such, but there you go. It's in the slot, yeah? So it can't turn. And obviously putting that on loosely. So now we're going to get the belt on around all the pulleys. These, you want to try and make sure when the belt's on are somewhere in the middle of their slots, so around about there. Same story for these, make sure they're sort of in the middle of the slots. It makes it easier to take one bolt out and you can see the slot, because the bolt covers most of the slot, but you want to make sure that they're roughly in the middle. So we'll get the belt on. Once it's on, we can then stick this pulley on. Makes life easier. And then I'll come back and look at tensioning it up. Right, so belt's on. We can see slots are roughly in the middle. Get on that one, roughly in the middle. Leaving these loose. We've got our pulley wheels back on. If you're struggling getting the belt on, take this one off as well, get the belt on. You can always loosen this off, slide it out, slightly get the belt on back in, but make sure you get that tab that's underneath back in that slot. So back in now. So where these are loose now, a 6mm Allen key into the tensioner, and you're turning it clockwise, and you want to turn it until the pointer in here, the slot in here, is lined up with the pointer. So you'll turn clockwise until that little pointer is level with that slot there, and then you will tighten the middle 15mm nut up. So you can see it's all lined up there, and then we will tighten up this 15mm, and the belt is tensioned. And then when we've tensioned them, we can do up those 3 bolts on the fuel pump and those 3 bolts on the cam. So we'll get this done and come back. Right, so belt's now tensioned, tightened up. We can now remove our locking pins. So we've tightened up our bolts here, our bolts here. So they're all tight now, they're all tight now. So obviously only after you've done that, remove the pins. Bottom pin, pull it out. So now we start the reassembly. So we'll get our bottom covers back on, crank pulley back on, and then we'll get onto the engine mounts. So we'll start building back up and we'll come back. Right, pretty much back together again now. So we'll start rebuilt. Obviously we've done drive belt and whatnot under here. So everything's back on. So leave the inner arch on out for a little while. Fill it up with coolant. We'll fire it up, check for leaks, and hopefully problems should be solved. So if you get water and coolant down this side of the engine on the tray, like this, chances are the water pump's gone on this. Engines are common for it, the 1.6 and the 2 litre, anything in between. So that's obviously how you do your water pump and your timing belt on one of these engines.